All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to another great session with the presidential candidate of the fictional Common Sense People's Party. Now, I have said 1,001 times on this channel that corruption, especially in the arms of government, is something that every Nigerian must frown at, because the consequences of corruption are far-reaching. They come in different shapes and forms, and there is no member of the society that is completely immune. When INEC refused to obey the electoral law and 25% in the FCT provision, some people felt it was victory for their tribe. Some felt it was triumph for their religion. But when subsidy was removed without proper planning and the economy began to fall apart, nobody's tribe or religion came to his rescue. When herdsmen and bandits began to behead farmers and abduct students, when kidnappers walked straight into a hostel in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, religion did not protect anyone. Now, the consequences of the corruption in the judiciary has now become a threat to the lives of soldiers in Nigeria, to the point that the Chief of Defense Staff stood before the National Assembly and said without mincing words that the judiciary was deliberately creating bottlenecks in the fight against terrorism in Nigeria, which is all but saying the judiciary is an accomplice of terrorism in Nigeria. Before I show you how he said it and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video where Daniel BWALA completely destroyed INEC and the judiciary. INEC and judiciary are institutions that we will continue to call out until our aim is achieved in this country. Listen to BWALA.
I mean, which several times the court has told, especially after the amendment of the Electoral Act, the court has told those who have gone to court in other political parties challenging winners in other in an election, saying, look, this is not your business, because it's a matter in that political party.
This Court of Appeal in presidential elections said so. Supreme Court repeated. So, you see, Mr. Sean, our electoral jurisprudence is getting to a point where it is no longer what you know. The court is still predictable, without prejudice to what you know and what is the stare decisis in respect of the matter. And the reason I say that is because at every stage of appeals, you can point at two decisions by the same court that are contradictory. Now, if it were to be Supreme Court, that's why some of us have started advocating that with respect to the Supreme Court, it's about time the Constitution of Nigeria be amended to deal with two issues that makes the Supreme Court sometimes inconsistent in judgment. Because you see, there is one dictum that the Supreme Court is not fallible because it is final. It is not final because it is infallible, but it is infallible because it is final. So if the Supreme Court commits a mistake, that mistake is the law because it's the final code. There needs to be a constitutional provision where you will not leave that latitude and said, if the Supreme Court delivers a judgment that is A, B, and C, the court must be bound if any fact comes to that court that relates to that. Meaning that when you go to Supreme Court and you know there is a legal precedent regarding the matter, both the petitioner and the respondent, both the appellant and the respondent will know the end of the matter. The second one is that the Supreme Court is not bound by its previous decision. Meaning that tomorrow morning you and I can go to Supreme Court and argue on A, and they will decide this way. Next tomorrow, another set of people will come and argue on A. They will refer to this, and Supreme Court say, you can't bind us, and to go the other way. So Supreme Court now, as a code of policy, delivers judgment, but hardly you find justice in those judgments. You won't blame them because they're hiding within the precincts of what they call procedure or the law as they deem fit. But then you know the justice of the case is that the votes of the people never counted. Look at the decision of the Court of Appeal in Kano. You know what the presiding judge said in the judgment? He said, where a candidate is carelessly sponsored and nominated by a political party, that selection is a nullity. It doesn't matter if he won the highest votes.
So it's on technicality that such a candidate will be uprooted out of the race.
Yes, when they say it doesn't matter how many votes you won, then that means no longer the wishes of the people. That means it's technical procedure.
But does it also speak to how politicians and political parties also conduct their own affairs? Because if the PDP had put its house in order,
right,
The man who had won this case, this governorship election with over 500,000 votes, will not be in any legal quagmire. He will be sitting pretty, other than having a situation where his election is now being threatened by the technicality of what his party did and did not do at the primary level.
But in the presidential election, PDP put his house in order. Did the PDP win? So this is my point. And I'm saying that our eyes are now, they hate it when you say all eyes are on the judiciary.
Are you saying that, that things are being, they are confusing the manner in which the court are decided?
The court is more unpredictable as the days go by. Now, let me tell you.
Based on how the law is. Yes. There is the way the law is and the way the law is ought to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes the manner in which the law is right now.
They give it to you like that. Now, but sometimes in the past, Supreme Court being a court of policy, when they look at it, they will say the mistake of somebody cannot be visited on the client. That means we are not going to be bound by technicality. We'll look at the substance of the case. They've done that several times. Then there are times they will wake up. It's like somebody waking up in the morning. He feels good. He does something. He works or he feels somehow. He does the other way. Either way, you don't blame him because he has something to back it up. Right? So if it is justice, then it should be not just the law as it is, but looking at the intention of the lawmakers, looking at what is the overall objective of election, that the voice of the majority should bring the person. Right? Now, but the biggest culprit, the biggest evil in the 2023 election across all levels is INEC. Because have you seen the mystery of INEC? In my practice of law, let me tell you, there are times you appear in court, right? Maybe you tender a document from the bar, and in the course of proceedings, you now object to that document. The court will draw your attention. They say, BWALA, do you know the implication of what you are saying? The document you tendered, you're objecting to it. The court is trying to tell you, are you okay? But in this 2023 election, INEC will certify a document for you. INEC will be in the court raising objection. And the court has never cautioned them.
And that was a brutally honest and brilliant one by Daniel BWALA. Now, let us look at the words of the Chief of Defense Staff on the Nigerian judiciary. Look at how the papers reported it. Judiciary is putting soldiers' lives at risk by granting bail to terrorists, Chief of Defense Staff. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Chris Musa, has blamed the judiciary for the slow prosecution of Boko Haram members and other non-state actors. The CDS, while appearing before the House of Representatives on Tuesday, said the granting of bail to Boko Haram members is putting the lives of security personnel at risk. Speaking to lawmakers, the CDS said the release of Boko Haram operatives is affecting the fight against terrorism. Another aspect of the judiciary is that you use all your effort to make an arrest. You hand them over, and before you enter your vehicle, the man has been released on bail. Now, you have risked yourself in doing that. By the time he is released, he goes to tell the people, the person that arrested him. Now, your family members or you are at risk. It is getting to a state where the security forces do not want to make any effort, the CDS said. He said most times, judiciary even released ships with stolen crude. Hey! Daily Post had reports that the service chiefs and Inspector General of Police are currently meeting with lawmakers. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Look at some of the tweet reactions. This tweet by Prince says, "And what are you guys doing about it? The most corrupt institution of the year goes to the judiciary, followed by INEC, then the police." This tweet right here says, "Judiciary has made Nigeria a state of fraud, forgery, drug trafficking, impersonation, perjury, cheaters, and criminality." Chai! This tweet by Mazi says, "It will get to everyone. Now time it go take." And that's what we are talking about. Now the military is complaining about the judiciary. Saved by Grace here says, "Do they care? As long as they have collected their legal fees, they don't mind the implications of their judgment." Oh! Bela says, "Birds of the same feather. All of you are loyal to Tinubu and not Nigeria as a nation. Nigeria can drown or collapse as long as Tinubu is happy and his interests are protected. Fine and good. Every other person can go to hug a life transformer." That is what they are doing. And now everybody is beginning to reap the fruits of that misbehavior. OJ Anthony here says, it's the consequences of supporting, aiding, and abetting criminality into power. Chai. And this tweet by Henry says, this is just the beginning. You all will suffer. Oh, Grace says, so now you are realizing that the judiciary is the problem of Nigeria. Ba? Oh, this tweet here says, people that kill, maim, and destroy people's lives and property mindlessly, you arrest and keep in prison and feed them with taxpayers' money. Why not waste them immediately at the point where you arrested them? Why give them time to breathe? And this is a very good one. Why do they arrest terrorist Boko Haram members and you are going to keep them? You say you want to prosecute them. Why? Do they arrest you when you face them? Don't they just shoot you down? Peter here says, many Nigerian soldiers die just to capture terrorists, only for politicians to release them, claiming that they are repented terrorists. Terrorism in Nigeria will never end like that. That is it. They have godfathers, even in high places. Papa Peter says, people that collect bribe from rogue politicians. What makes you think that they won't collect from other rogue elements in our society? You are right. That is what is happening. Justice is now says, you guys shouldn't be complaining alongside the civilians. This is why the late General Sani Abacha was a different breed. By now, things for don't go back to factory settings. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here. So, don't go away.